Hello everybody and welcome to another episode of Guys on Gaffr, and it's the international break, and it seems that this season, beyond the pre-season content, it's the international breaks where we're finding the time to make some content. So here we are, we're doing a Super League episode now, and then you'll also see a championship episode go up as well. And yeah, this is our Super League episode. Abhishek, how have you been since our last pod?
Yeah, I think fantasy-wise had a decent outing in whichever number of games that I played. In terms of club football, not happy because team is not winning, team is not playing good, playing Mourinho-esque football. I mean, we're playing Mourinho-esque football, but we are not getting any results. It doesn't matter whether we play that type of football or not, but it's a lot of gloom and doom in terms of footballing, for footballing reasons, but in terms of other sports reasons, and in the nice break, I tend to watch a bit of Test cricket, a bit of T20 cricket, a bit of one-day cricket as well. The Women's World Cup is going on, so which is nice to see as well. Although India crashed out from the semi-finals, but good luck to the rest, to the other teams that have qualified for the semi-finals. I think England has qualified. Virtually, they have qualified, playing the last game today. So yeah, apart from that, a bit under the weather due to the congested weather cycle that we have in these parts of the country, especially nowadays when the festivities have started. So yeah, how are you?
Yeah, doing well, thank you. Yeah, I've been very switched off from football this last week, as normal when it's an international break. But Everton have started picking up some points, which is nice. The fantasy games have gone well, unless your Gaffr Championship, which hasn't gone well. More on that pod. And yeah, no, things are all good. Things are all fine. No David today. He unfortunately is too busy to join us, but I'm sure he'll be back soon. But yeah, should we dive into Super League then?
Yep.
So our teams are in whatever random order that I put them in the screenshots. David's is up first, so I'll be very quick because he's not here. But he had a decent game week, although he did sell Lewandowski for Boniface. So Boniface returned as his captain, that's good, but Lewandowski got a hattie, so that's a bit nasty for him. But he's got a nice little Noosa 11-pointer. In fact, his midfield's done very well. He's just got Griezmann for 9, Vinicius Jr. for 11 and for 10, and then Rodgers for 3. Kane also at top. Mendes with a nice 12-pointer at the back as well. He was probably hoping for more from Grimaldo. He only got 3 points up to 4 with the vice captaincy. And then Blint and Nubel 90 points up to 147. So yeah, quite a nice game. Shame about his Lewandowski sale, but understandable to attack that Bayer Leverkusen game. Just didn't quite pan out, I guess, the way he hoped. I guess he could have had more. Who's next? Me. I'm next. Yeah, I had a nice game week. It was really, really good, actually. So I was very torn whether to target Leverkusen players. All week I was planning on doing Vinicius Jr. to Wirtz and maybe do Trent to Grimaldo, although Grimaldo's attacking threat didn't actually seem to... It seems fine, but not 9.5 million fine like it was sort of last season. And I wasn't sure whether it was justified, particularly when I had Yildiz and Retegi. I didn't like having those two cheap strikers, and I did quite fancy at least making one of them a bit more expensive to just bolster the overall squad a little bit. And I thought Yildiz was the weaker link there. He's been all right for bonus, but Juventus don't score loads of goals, and actually he's not involved in loads of the goals himself. Vlahovic takes obviously a large share of the goals. So in the end, I went for Vinicius to Elise and Yildiz to Havertz for a -4, which actually went really well. Both of the transfers in getting 10 points. Yildiz was benched. Vinicius returned, got an 11-pointer, but I don't mind that at all. So that went well, and I obviously kept Retegi, and his minutes are very hard to predict, but he started and he got a hat-trick. I think it's 3 goals and an assist, which was really, really good. Haaland blanked again as my captain, second week in a row, which was a shame. But I also had a Lookman 10-pointer. Rafinha continues to be incredible, 21 points with the vice captaincy there. He has been my hero of the season in probably across all fantasy games. Solid from Trent as well, 9 from him. Raum, annoyingly, has come off between 70 and 75 minutes, 2 games in a row, and missed out on the half clean sheet. So just a 4 for him here, in a similar situation to the previous game week. Kalulu, 4 points, and Carneshi, or whatever you call him, the Atalanta keeper, also 4 points. Both Juventus and Atalanta conceding fairly late goals to wipe their second half clean sheets. But overall, very happy, 104 minus 4, and it was a nice green arrow from 11th up to 6th. So it's going very well. I have no boosts left, and a lot around me do have one. So I think double game week 9 is going to be crucial, and I need to minimise my drop as much as possible and see what I can do there. But very, very pleased with how Super League's going. It's that good start with those boosts in game weeks 1 and 2 have stood me in good stead, and it's going really well. So Abhishek, how was your last game week?
Yeah, and in terms of points, I did not catch up with you guys, but scored a reasonable 77 points in the end. The main architect towards that score was Mendes 12 pointer and Retegui 22 pointer. Apart from that, Gutierrez and Balde scored 8 and 6 points respectively. As you mentioned, Rom with a 4 pointer. Yamal did not do anything. I mean, all the goals. I mean, his other 2 strike partners were scoring a bunch of points. Yamal has been kept a bit quiet. So in the past and for the past 3 to 4 weeks, he hasn't been returning. Probably, I think 1 assist or 1 goal either. He has returned. So need to think about him, whether I persist with him, or should I go to should I spend a bit more for Rafinha as well, but a bit of a structure as well, because double game week 9 is coming on, and probably a boost week as well. So a lot of thought will be going on to whether I hold Yamal or not. And in game week 9, it's the El Clasico. So ideally, looking ahead, you have to see what fixtures, whether I can spend that much of money on him, because Bayern has nice run of fixtures, Leverkusen has nice run of fixtures, so have to make a decision on it. Haaland, as you mentioned, he blanked, so 6 points. He was my captain as well, so 6 points. Martinez again blanked. He hasn't started the season well. I mean, only a couple of weeks back he got a return, a good haul. But apart from that, he hasn't been up to his best, or at least up to his last year's best. So there's a decision to be made as well. But with double game week coming up, it's really hard whether to persist with him or to sell him. It's a really hard decision for me. So a lot of things will be going on until come deadline this Saturday, Friday night, hopefully. So yeah, those are my 11. Di Gregorio was in my goal, so with 4 points. I mean, whenever both of my goalkeeper starts, Bizzo come out on top than Di Gregorio. And whenever Di Gregorio gets benched, Bizzo does nothing.
That's unlucky. And I think that was the first goal Juventus have conceded all season as well. They've been really rock solid so far. They've lost, obviously, Bremer, haven't they? But we'll come on to that.
Yeah, I mean, we need to talk about Juventus a bit more longer than that, because a lot of injuries have happened. So, yeah, apart from that, 77 points. I'm just shy out of 250th, because 254 is my overall rank now. So, I'm on a good state. The boosts have worked wonders, but it's the non-boost week that hasn't been going well, hasn't been going too well. So hopefully I can resurrect that and improve on my overall ranking. So yeah, that's 77 points for me. And I think I have missed Rogers. He scored me 3 points as well. So yeah, that's me last week.
Good stuff. Well, like last time, we'll do a whip round all 4 non-Premier League leagues, because obviously everyone who plays this game, you play a lot of FPL, you know what's what. with the Premier League. But we will start with Serie A and probably spend a little bit longer on it because double game week 9 is coming up very soon. And talk about what the deal is there. In fact, just to go through the fixtures that these teams have then over the next 2 game weeks, because we will be looking at their assets, won't we? AC Milan have got Udinese at home, then in the double Bologna away, Napoli at home. Atalanta, they've got the best 3 fixtures of the lot, really. They've got Venezia away, and then in the double Verona at home and Monza at home. Then Juventus have got Lazio at home, followed by in the double Inter Milan away and Parma at home. And Inter Milan have got Roma away, and then in the double Juventus at home and Empoli away. So actually, in that double game week 9, tough games for all of the Super League teams here. Apart from Atalanta. What has stood out to you then since we last spoke in Serie A? What have you kind of picked up on?
I mean, apart from the injuries, there's nothing to pick up on. There has been a lot of injuries in all the 4 Serie A clubs, I guess, because a lot of people have gone out. I mean, it's a ridiculous red card received by Theo Hernandez last game week. Before that, I think, in game week.
Yeah, it happened after the final whistle, so I think he's he didn't lose any points, but yeah.
But he will be missing for the double. I mean, at least 1 game on the double, I guess. Yeah, it's saying 2 games ban, so probably next and first game on the double. So yeah, I mean, apart from him, every one of the assets are apparently clean in terms of injury wise from AC Milan, and the likes of Pulisic, Leao, and all those guys are decent enough. So if you are looking to get them in for the double, then certainly attack is your best option. Don't go to the defense, because Theo gives you the avenue of attacking and defensive returns, whereas the other defenders doesn't give you that much of an attacking return. So don't bet on only defensive returns. If you're looking for AC Milan, go for the attacking returns, because their attack has been scoring goals. They are conceding goals, so that's why don't go for the defenders, but they're scoring goals. So I think, as I mentioned, the players Pulisic, Leao, and the other ones that are, I think, within a budget as well. So you can look forward to these guys, getting into these guys, especially the next game week. That's, I think, AC Milan. Apart from Theo Hernandez, nothing need much more to be talked about.
Yeah, I guess a couple of things I'd add to that. You're quite right. I completely agree in terms of don't target their defence with Theo Hernandez out and target their attack. Pulisic has really snuck under the radar for me. He's got 5 goals and 2 assists, and he has the underlying numbers to back them up as well. It's not like he's massively overperforming, so that's really encouraging signs for him, and he's someone actually maybe that could be worth considering. In terms of the minutes he's getting, he's getting sub most games. Sometimes it's sort of before 70 minutes, but oftentimes it's around the 80-minute mark. Yeah, he looks really, really good, and he's been slept on certainly by me and probably by most of the game. What's his price, Abhishek? It can't be that high. 7.5, 8 or something?
He's 7.5 to 8.5, within that range, I guess. So let me check. Hold on. He's my.
If Yamal is injured for any length of time, that could be a good replacement. Obviously, the Napoli.
Yeah, he's 8.2.
8.2. Okay.
He's 8.2.
Well, you can't really argue with the returns he's had so far. It's certainly an interesting one. Yeah, Leao's had 1 goal, 3 assists, I think, so it's okay, not bad at 7.5 for him. I'll just check up on his underlying numbers as well. But yeah, let's see. Yeah, his underlying numbers are reasonable as well. So you know, he's also another option. But at the moment, Pulisic seems to be the guy. I guess with Leao, you've probably got slightly more minutes from him.
Yeah,
spending more pool
basically
games.
those are the two options
Mm.
as of right now. Mm, with Theo out, I think maybe if you're looking for a goalkeeper, Mike Nan seems to have a decent run in terms of save points and all those things, but it doesn't help you if you're not on a keeper post on that
Yeah.
said game week. So goalkeeper position doesn't help you that much. So I think Liao and Pulisic are your main options if you're looking at AC Milan. Don't look at their defenders or any other ones,
Mm.
because those two are your informed guys, and those two are your guys that will start both the games in a
Mm.
double game week.
I
That
think.
has to be
Mm.
taken into consideration, because rotation is managers are relying heavily on rotation, especially with the European games.
Yeah, and I think Morata and Tammy Abraham will probably rotate quite a bit. And I've just realised that Tammy Abraham's not in the game, so may have to message the Gaffr guys about that. But I
Oh
think
yeah,
the forwards are on a void at the moment. But it would be interesting to see if Morata or Abraham become sort of nailed
I mean,
and do well.
I mean, they're missing penalties left, right, and center.
Yeah.
So
Didn't
even
they miss
though
two? They
even
missed
though
two,
they
didn't they, in
have
that game?
yeah, two in a same game. Theo missed, then Theo doesn't take. Tammy takes. Tammy also missed, and lo and behold, who saves them? David De Gea.
Yes.
Come on.
Oh
Oh
dear.
my god.
Well, I think that pretty much covers AC Milan. They are a curious team.
Yeah.
They had a great result against Inter, but very inconsistent. What about Inter? I guess the thing with them is Thuram obviously got a hat-trick last game, but that's after a really dry spell of the lack of goals. Seems he's a bit patchy, and Lautaro Martinez, as you mentioned before, hasn't started the game well either. It's quite hard to predict where the returns are going to come, because we know Thuram and Martinez are very, very good strikers and can haul in pretty much any game, but there's no consistency at the moment, is there? In the meantime, quietly,
No.
Thuram is on 70 points, so what do you think?
Yeah, I think whatever points Thuram has managed, I mean, he either has a brace or a hat trick or something like that. He hasn't has a consistent goal returns or attacking returns in back-to-back weeks. He either has a week where he scores a brace, he either has a week where he scores three attacking returns. So majority of his 70 points have come like that. I mean, in the
Yeah, so
most
just to
of
confirm
games.
exactly what you're saying, you're spot on.
Yeah.
So in game week 1 he scored 2 goals. In game week 3 he scored 2 goals, and then in the last game week he scored 3. He did get an assist against Udinese, but no goals in any other games. So he hasn't got any games with a single goal in. And actually, that's the thing in Gaffr, because of the bonus points. I think often better is a player that will score 1 a game, sort of thing. But yeah, carry on.
Yeah, so I mean, it's really hard in terms of options to suggest, because Inter Milan, they haven't been prolific this season so far. They are not scoring goals at will like they did in the previous seasons where we have owned them. But yeah, I think it's quite a tricky one. I mean, rotators, we know Simone Inzaghi rotates quite a hell of his players, so that's an issue to contend with as well. So I mean, as of right now, I only have one Inter Milan player. And whether I will own him come game week 9, double game week, I really don't know. So it's really toss of a coin what your team needs right now. If your team is set up for your attack, set up for your attacking returns for that game week 9 week, then you might look at DeMarco or someone like that. But first assure that though you get the returns before investing in Inter Milan players. I'm not saying, I cannot say this time around this season with confidence that yeah, go for 2 Inter Milan players. I can't say that, because more options are there. Single game week options are there who are scoring more attacking returns every week. So I don't know, Inter Milan might be a decent option this double game week, although they have 2
Yeah.
games.
Yeah, and also to mention on Thuram, he scored his 7 goals from only 2.6 expected goals. Now, obviously, he's a good finisher, and him overperforming his numbers is not necessarily something to be too surprised about, but that's a huge overperformance. And we cannot expect such a huge overperformance to continue. So while he is the kind of third highest scoring forward in the game at the moment, I don't know. He's a perfectly fine buy, but he's not a definite buy, particularly when one of the games is Juventus, who are the meanest defence in the league. You mentioned DiMarco. He has looked very threatening at times. He sometimes gets subbed off at 75, but not all the time at the moment. 6 million feels like at the cheaper end of the premium defenders, so he's obviously a perfectly good pick. He gets in the box a lot, so I think he could. He's one of those players that could haul in any game.
Yeah, I mean, when you see DiMarco getting so high up on the pitch, so many times he's in the box, but that he's not been able to. I mean, with Lautaro and Thuram not prolific enough, he's not getting those returns that we are expecting of him. I mean, when he plays for Italy, he's scoring bangers of goals, but if he can continue that in his club colors as well, then probably it will be better for us Gaffr managers as well. But only time will tell whether it comes to fruition.
We shall see. Juventus then. The interesting thing with them, I think, is obviously, like we say, defensively incredible. 1 goal conceded so far, but they have lost Bremer to injury, and it's a long-term one. I think it might have been an ACL. He's picked up in the Champions League, and
he's out for the season.
Yeah. It's too early to tell for me how that's going to affect their defensive performance. But what are your thoughts?
I think it's going to affect quite a bit because he has lost his captain in that defense. There's no one of Bremer's caliber there I can call him out that he can take the responsibility now. Maybe Danilo, but Danilo is not a central defensive. I mean, Danilo doesn't have those skill set anymore because of the age. Maybe a younger defender. I mean, who knows? The younger defender likes of Cambiaso, I mean, Kalulu, Yuon, those guys can come to the party now and do something. But clean sheet, whether Juventus can keep it tight at the back, I really don't know. I mean, they have Gatti as well. I was talking with a Juventus fan, and he was saying that Gatti is the like-for-like replacement for Bremer.
Yeah.
So probably Gatti will be your like-for-like replacement there, but it remains to be seen whether he can be what we are expected of Bremer and what we can expect of Bremer both in terms of fantasy-wise and in terms of playing-wise, in terms of Juventus. So as of right now, maybe Juventus is a team that I'm keeping a watchful eye on because I don't know what will happen to the defensive shape. I don't know what effect with losing Bremer will have on Juventus. Need to see how they play. I mean, the games are tough. They're playing Lazio away from home. Then they have, I think, Inter Milan away from home. And who else is away? And then they have Lazio at home, Inter away from home, and Parma at home. Both these three teams are in and around that top 6, top 7 spot right now, playing decent enough football. So, I mean, I don't know what to expect in terms of, in terms of attacking wise. They also have injuries there as well. Consao, I think, looked like a decent one. He got a suspension to bear with. He got a straight red card.
Gonzalez.
I think
Gonzalez got injured. I don't know when
he's
he's back.
also got injured. Probably he may be back, but not, I think, before October ends. I think Gonzalez. Coop Miners is already gone. He will not play anymore in the month of October. He may return in the early parts of November. Yeah, so
Tax getting decimated then.
Yeah, I mean, apart from Vlahovic, Lahovic, they don't really have that many attacking players. I think Yildiz becomes a decent option nowadays.
If he was a
decent, I say,
midfielder, yeah, if he was a midfielder, he'd be really good. It's just a forward.
yeah,
Being a forward is just feels like a waste of a spot.
yeah. I mean, Yildiz now becomes a crucial player, and I think the other one that they have, I think the American one, or the Timothy Weah is also injured. So
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
I mean,
I think their midfield's
yeah,
a no-go. I mean, Gonzalez could have been a good option, but they don't score loads of goals. They scored 10, 5 of them being from Vlahovic. Vlahovic is fine. I like his price at 7 as well. Like it's quite cheap. He's their talisman. He's most certainly a good option, but that midfield is not looking like.
yeah, it's
what
what's behind him. That was exciting. That was looking exciting at the start of the season. Due to injuries, it's not looking exciting because you can't rest all your laurels on Yildiz with Gonzalez, Cook Miners, Weah already gone due to injury. So yeah, I think Juventus with Bremer now gone as well. I mean, that's a body blow. I mean, 4 players already gone within a matter of 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Before this international break hit, they had 4 players out injured. So that's going to be a body blow. How they cope up with that, it remains to be seen. We'll see in the Saturday Sunday games against, but it's a tough opposition. Lazio is a decent team, and they're doing well in the league as well. And with no Europe this season, they are playing with not a lot of baggage. So yeah, it will be a tough game for them. So Juventus is a wait and watch for me to see what new options crop up in the weeks to come before I can invest on them.
One final play just to mention on Juventus. With Bremer's injury, Savona should have improved minutes, I think. Kalulu is very versatile and has played some games at centre-back and played some at right-back with Gatti at centre-back with Bremer. But with Bremer injured, Kalulu is pretty much almost always going to play centre-back now. That could be really good for Savona's minutes, and he's only 5 million. Carries a bit of attacking threat about him as well, so one to keep an eye on. Could be worth a punt if you're looking to bring one in. Kalulu is obviously the safest one in terms of budget and minutes. Very happy to own him at the moment, so yeah, we'll see. Lastly then, Atalanta, the team with the good fixtures. I think it's very clear at this point. Well, 2 things very clear. 1, leaky defence. I'm actually not that thrilled having Karnesicki. I think I've butchered it. I'm pretty sure I butchered his pronunciation. But anyway, and I've even mispronounced the word pronunciation there. So it's going great, guys. Anyway, I don't love the fact that I have him, actually. I got him because good fixtures and double. But actually, like the Leipzig keeper's done really, really well. And Gazaniga's done really, really well, although that's more variance than anything else. So, so that's one thing. Defensively, they concede pretty much every game, and in attack they rotate a lot. It's so tough to call because they are really good assets. They are cheap. Retegui is cheap and has started extremely well. Lookman is only 6.4 and a great player. It seems that first choice are Retegui, Lookman, De Ketelaere, but Pasalic and Samardzic or maybe one other player will sometimes come in and start games instead. So yeah, in my opinion, you've just got to kind of ride it out. I think, like with the double, I'm happy to own Retegui and Lookman. It's just all about riding out those benchings. It's also an interesting one because I've got a squad where I can bench one of them if I try and actually predict when they're going to get benched and do it accordingly. I successfully did it, I think, in game week 6. Like the one before last, I successfully benched Retegui because I thought he'd be benched, and he was. But that is risky in a good fixture. You could just end up benching lots of points. So, yeah, what are your thoughts on Atalanta?
Yeah, I think they are also like Juventus. They're pretty much handicapped by injuries, especially in the defensive part, because 3 of their main defenders are out injured. I mean, you miss probably gonna.
Is it Gym City?
Probably, I think it is.
Trying to say.
Yeah, he's the Armenian defender from Atlanta.
I don't know if
He's out injured. Kosuno is out injured, and Ruggiero is also out injured. So the cheap defenders that we're looking for, they're all out injured.
Mm.
And
Yeah.
you would not want to trust Kolasinac and Zappacosta, especially at their age. Although they're starting, and they probably will start the next 3 games, at least 2 out of the 3 games, but you will not be able to trust wholeheartedly those 2 players, especially at the back especially at the age that they're in right now. In terms of attacking options, as you mentioned, no need to talk about it anymore because those 3-4 guys are your main options, and they are also at the price point where you can say that they are budget options because 6.5, 6 million, and 6.4. The category is 6.4. They are at the price range of those budget options. So it wouldn't be surprise to me if we see 2 of the 3 names that we mentioned now in terms of attack on everyone's team come game week 9 double game week because of the run that Atlanta has now. So yeah, apart from that, I don't think too much we need to talk about too much.
Yeah.
Cholo is also out injured as well. So 4 of the defenders are already out, first choice defenders. It's hard to say. Do not go near Atlanta defense, as I mentioned. I mean, it's funny in Serie A. I mean, Italian league or Italy team is known for its defenders, but here we're suggesting stay away from the defenders of the Serie A sides because there's no one fit.
Yeah, quite a straightforward team, aren't they, Atalanta, from a fantasy perspective? We've basically covered it there. Not much else to say. So yeah, that's Serie A. They may well come up a bit later in the questions when we talk boosts, but we'll revisit that then, I think. Let's hop over to Spain, to La Liga, where it's the league with the most games played so far because they've had 2 doubles. They've actually played 9 matches in that league so far. And yeah, since we last spoke, has anything changed in your minds? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I think one thing changed is Rafinha has become the Rafinha that we saw at Leeds United when we were picking him as an option in FPL. So he has become that option nowadays in terms of fantasy, whether it's UCL or in Super League or whatever game you play where Rafinha is available for selection. I think he's this one shining line that has, shining really brightly after the first international break to the second international break. He's the one guy that is returning consistently, along with Lewandowski as well. So these are the 2 that has really surprised me because I haven't expected the amount of return that they're providing, especially from the first game of the season up until now. The returns have been prolific, both of them, and each game week they're performing along the expected lines, even though when we expected the likes of other players, Yamal or the superstars from Real Madrid will perform much better than Barcelona, but Barcelona has shined through and through so far. In terms of Atletico Madrid, I think Leno hopefully he will be fine, and we will see him soon after the injury that he suffered in the derby, or before the derby, I think. So it's not nice to hear those news, but hopefully he's fine. Hopefully he can come back to the game sooner rather than later, and hopefully everything should be fine enough in terms of his health. So yeah, in terms of fantasy options, he was one decent option from Atletico Madrid, apart from Oblak, who has been starting every game. But now we go into that. I think Atletico Madrid will rotate again heavily, so it's tough to suggest which one to go for. In terms of Real Madrid, we know what are the expected attacking options are there for Real Madrid. Although you might we might want to have to check about the injury issues of the Brazilians of Real Madrid. Just keep an eye out on that, because I think probably I think Militao has a slight niggle as well. I was hearing when they were playing against whichever team that the World Cup qualification that were playing, he did not play that game. So yeah, apart from that, Girona, I mean, the obvious options is Gutierrez, but they also have been hit by injuries. As I think Saigonkov is also injured. He was a decent option coming out from Girona, especially at his price point in the midfield. So that he is injured. Blind is also injured. So these are the two options that were pretty much favored up until now. Those two have gone down injured as well. Probably gonna miss 1 or 2 games. So Gutierrez looks like a decent option at 5 million, and I don't know whether you can trust Gazzaniga because he concedes the ridiculous of easiest goals, but he saves 2 penalties.
Yeah. That was an annoying one, I have to say. Quite a few people had it in and around me.
Yeah.
Oh dear.
So I think those what has so far been happening in La Liga since the first international break.
Yeah.
Or at least in my eyes, that's what's happening.
Yeah, I think you've hit it on the head with most of that. Barcelona just goals galore, honestly. So many. We've really got to stop overlooking Lewandowski, I think.
Yep.
I don't know if this is the same for other people, but it certainly is the case for me that I feel like I've got a bit of an internal bias against him as an option because of his age, thinking, oh, he'll start getting rotated, or the amount of games he has to play will take its toll on him soon. Maybe that will turn out to be the case in November and December, but so far his minutes are good and he is scoring a ton of goals, and the underlying numbers back it up. He's scored 10 goals from an XG of 9.68. That's over 1 expected goal a game, which is insane. I guess what I have noticed from the bits that I've seen of Barcelona is the players around him are just creating so many chances for him in the 6-yard box. A lot of the goals that he's scored actually have kind of fallen to him nicely in the 6-yard box. Yes, maybe some of them from defensive mishaps, but you know, he's getting these really high quality chances, and he's a clinical finisher, so of course he's doing so well.
Yeah, I think I mean, with the added fact that he's on the bench as well, he hasn't scored any goals from penalties. And I haven't seen in La Liga, he hasn't scored as of right now any pen goals. So
he's had 1 penalty, but only 1.
Yeah, so out of the 10 goals he scored in La Liga, 1 is penalty, 9 is field goals. So that's what's making him interesting. And in and around, it's really tricky whether you go with a premium duo of strikers now, because Haaland is scoring as well, Kane is scoring as well, Lewandowski is scoring as well. So 3 of your 13 premium strikers are on rich vein of form. So which 2 you go?
Really tricky. It's really interesting. I'm starting to swing towards Lewandowski being better than Kane because of those underlying numbers. And Kane has had a couple of hauls, but actually his underlying numbers are a bit worse than the other 2. It's really difficult because it's at the moment Haaland's fixture run is so good. If you're only going to have 1, it's really hard to sell Haaland ahead of his fixture run. So the question is, do you hold off until the fixtures get a bit tougher for City and then go to Lewandowski and then bank the 2 million and use it, or do you try and get up to him somehow? I mean, I recently bought Havertz. It's only a short-term buy for 2 or 3 game weeks. I think I'll have to really decide, do I try and get Haaland and Lewandowski, so you're still covering that 13.5 price point in case you do want to get Mbappe or go down to Kane at some point. But the sacrifice that requires is losing someone like, it's probably losing Rafinha, who I really don't want to lose. Like, he is so good. Or losing Trent, which is another one where I quite like I feel like I want someone at that price bracket, even if it's not Trent with the tough run of fixtures coming up, a Hakimi or someone else. It's a really interesting one with Lewandowski at the moment. I don't see why he won't continue doing well.
Yeah, that's the issue I have with with all these 3 premium strikers, is that even it's a hard game, even if they lose, those 3 players for their respective teams will get you an attacking return. So what I'm thinking right now is that, okay, now let's assess it. 8 games to go. How can you assess? You just have to have. I mean, I'm seeing myself owning all these 3 strikers at a certain point of time, not at the same time, but a certain point of time, depending on the fixtures. I may have what 3-4 game bursts. Okay, I own Haaland for 4 games. These 4 games, done with it. Go to Lewandowski for these 4 games. I mean, you have to do like that sooner rather than later because of the returns that they're getting consistently. And the likes of and the strikers that we currently own, I mean, the likes of Mbappe or say Lautaro or Thuram, they're not performing decent enough or performing at that level what Lewandowski, likes of Lewandowski, Haaland, and what they're performing. And so it might be you have to give them short match burst, give them 4 matches, hog all the points, move on to the other premium forward. Hog all the points, move on to the other premium mode. So I think like this, you need to move forward. I mean, in terms of future matches, you need to look forward in this way because there are a lot of options in the midfield you would want to own. You can't sell Rafinha, you can't sell Olex, you can't sell Saka, Luis Diaz, Salah. When Liverpool has a really nice run of fixtures, especially in the next 10 games.
They've got a couple of nice ones, but then it gets really tough, doesn't it? It gets tough for a bit. I think they've got 2 decent-ish fixtures coming up, but then they've got to go to the Emirates, and they've got some tough games, I think.
I mean,
to be fair, most games are good for Liverpool from an attacking point of view in terms of the goals that they can score.
Yeah.
So, they're fairly fixture-proof in that sense.
So, in terms of attacking, talking about midfielders with Liverpool, all those 3 especially 2 options, Luis Diaz and Mohamed Salah. You need money now on the midfield. I think money spent wisely on the midfield nowadays is looking likely as of right now until those goals dried up and Real Madrid. I mean, Vinicius Junior and Rodrigo is performing better than Kylian Mbappe as of right now.
Yeah.
So you can't say, I mean, PSG, there is no striker at the moment. They're only midfielders. Dembele is performing. He's a midfielder. Barcola is a midfielder as well. They're playing up top. They're scoring goals. So majority of your money is likely to invest good for your squad, I think, in the midfield. So in terms of these 3 premium strikers, nail on 1 striker and go about your business in the other. I think that should be the plan in the future.
Yeah, I think midfield's a very interesting position at the moment because particularly Vinicius Junior, because he's still doing very, very well at 11, and I think 11 million is still a very, very good price. But he does feel very expendable, hence why I sold him, because there are good midfielders at all sort of price ranges at the moment. You know, obviously Lookman's your kind of standout budget. You've also got, like, for example, Milo of Stuttgart, who's also a very cheap midfielder who's a good option. You've got really good midfielders at the 7.5 range sort of thing, 7 to 8.5 range. Elise, Barcola, players like that, and the top guys are good as well. I don't feel like you can say the same in terms of the forwards. Like the mid-priced forwards are quite unpredictable at the moment and patchy.
Yep.
Particularly around the kind of 9 million mark. Ramsey, Bonifaces, people like that. There hasn't been, no one has really stood out yet amongst that lot. So it is an interesting one, and in terms of how you spread your budget and whether you take a bit out of midfield. That's what I'm sort of thinking of doing, taking a bit out of midfield to put into the forwards. In terms of Barcelona as well, Olmo can't be too far, is it? I can't remember if he was meant to be back in October or November, but once he comes back, he'll be of interest again to us at his price. So we'll see what's what there. I'm trying to think if I've got anything else to say on La Liga. I don't think I do really. You basically hit it on the head with Atletico Madrid and their rotation, and Girona. Yeah, it's Gutierrez or no one, isn't it? Gazaniga's okay. So
Yep.
yeah, I'm happy to move on. I feel like we've got quite a good understanding of La Liga just because they've played so many more games. Yeah. Right, let's do Bundesliga then. What are your hot takes on Bundesliga? I feel like we've learned a bit more because they had that later start. Like last time we podded, they'd only had a couple of games, 2 or 3 games. So you've had a bit more to digest now.
Yeah, I mean, Bundesliga is a much more livelier league than we have suggested, because I think Stuttgart scored 5 goals against Dortmund. I mean, who would have thought? So they are becoming a much more goal-scoring league at the moment, because Munich is scoring goals, Leverkusen is scoring goals. I mean, the Leverkusen versus Munich, that high voltage match ended up in 1-1, but none of your usual suspects scored. So, I mean, it really is a high scoring league at the moment. They're scoring goals for fun. Stuttgart is also scoring goals. The likes of, I mean, as you mentioned, Melo, Undav is a budget striker. I mean, around that 6 to 7 million mark. He's also looking good. Demirovic is also looking good. They're scoring goals. So they have that type of option. I mean, one thing we can say is defensively from German clubs, we haven't seen, apart from Rome, we haven't seen anyone who is returning consistently as compared to the attacking players that we have seen from all the 4 teams. When Openda, Sesko, they are scoring funds. Xabi Simon is quieter than last season. This season he's quieter, so he hasn't provided that much of attacking returns. But
and no one's really looking at him because he's so much more expensive as well.
Yeah, I mean, people are looking at Nusa. Nusa is 4 million cheaper and is better attacking scoring than Simons as of right now. I mean, after 6 to 7 matches. In terms of from Leverkusen, Grimaldo and Frimpong hasn't lived up to their top dollar price. They haven't, but with Words has been one consistent performer apart from Shaka, which is really weird to see, because Shaka, we haven't seen that much potential in him when he was at Arsenal. But kudos to him, he has worked really hard on his game, and Xabi Alonso has taken him, has provided, I mean, best outcome he's getting from Xabi Alonso in terms of whatever he likes to do. Boniface needs to start scoring goals, otherwise his 9 million price tag, I mean, he also hasn't justified his price tag like Grimaldo and Frimpong, but it's early days still. Bayern Munich, Olise and Kane, these are the usual suspects. Musiala is also doing well. Kimmich, I think once Kimmich at right back he was doing really well, especially at the start of the season, but it has died down a bit in next few games. So one to watch out, Kimmich probably, but he's also at the premium price, at 6.5 million. Stuttgart we talked about, Leipzig we talked about, Bayern and Leverkusen. Yeah, I think that's it. I think apart from all the goals that they've scored, that these 4 teams have scored, nothing much to talk about. All the 4 sides' defenses are not doing well.
Yeah, I'm finding the Bundesliga really interesting at the minute. I think, in terms of from a defensive standpoint, there is one team that does stand out, and that's Leipzig, and that they've only conceded 2 goals, but they're actually overperforming their numbers. Their expected goals against is 7 point something or other. I just had a look. So they are probably going to regress a bit defensively, but so far they have been the standout team there. Stuttgart are going along quietly, but actually probably have a couple of good cheap assets in there that aren't being looked at, mostly because of I think the doubles that have been happening, and obviously the double coming up with Serie A means that we're kind of opting for the Atalanta assets. But let me tell you, Milo has the highest expected goals in the Bundesliga, and he has 3 goals and 2 assists, and he has the underlying numbers to back it up. One of them was a pen, which he missed. I think he missed a pen. But as that aside, he's got 3.39 non-penalty XG. That's 0.71 per 90. The problem is, again, minutes. Like he had really good minutes before the last international break, and then Europe started, Champions League started, and since the last international break he's had 28 minutes, 90 minutes, 57 minutes, 73 minutes. Same story with Undav. Doing well, good underlying numbers, patchy minutes. We'll get the odd benching, kind of, you sort of expect maybe 1 benching in 3, maybe only 1 90 minutes in 3. But once this Serie A double's out the way, I will be looking at Stuttgart again, I think. I'm not sure what their fixtures are after 9. Let's have a look. They've got they've got Leverkusen and Frankfurt, so maybe from 12, where they've got Bochum, Werder Bremen, Union Berlin, Heidenheim and St. Pauli before the winter break.
Till the winter break. Yeah, I think from 12 to 16, I think that's a hot run.
Yeah, and in that time, like Atalanta have got to travel to Roma and play AC Milan, so like that could be a good sort of hop on point for Stuttgart. They're certainly one that I'm looking at. Leverkusen are interesting. I was worried to not own anyone in the last game and not have Wirtz, but got away with it somewhat. Defensively, conceding a lot of goals, and for Grimaldo to be an option, I do feel like they need to be doing a bit better defensively. How many attacking returns has Grimaldo had so far? Because obviously I think it was 10 goals, 3 assists last season, which was insane.
Yeah,
He's not had nothing.
I think he has. I think he had in total. With Champions League and all those things combined, I think he had got 2 goals and 2 assists. Maybe a spitballing here.
In the league, he's got 1 goal and 1 assist. He's underperforming his expected assist number, so the assist number could go up. So it's not bad return for a defender at all from just 6 games. And if he was at Trent's price, I would go for him. But there's not enough evidence for me to suggest yet that he is at the point he's doing as well as last season in terms of his attacking output. The fixtures are good though. They've got Stuttgart, which is not an easy fixture, but more from a defensive point of view, like he could still get an attacking return. Then Bochum, Union Berlin, St. Pauli, Augsburg, like they have got a good run. Sorry, that is Bayern Munich's fixtures. They're the line below on the ticker. Bayer Leverkusen's fixtures are Frankfurt, Werder Bremen, Stuttgart, Bochum, Heidenheim. So they're okay. They're okay fixtures.
Leverkusen's problem is they're not keeping enough clean sheet, and that doesn't justify Frimpong and Grimaldo's price as of right now. Because for a 9.5 million defender, only 1 goal, 1 assist, and no clean sheets, probably a bunch of half clean sheets, I'm not happy.
Yeah.
If the goals and attacking returns, assists, if Wirtz, Boniface, and the other around those guys who were scoring goals for fun, like last season, then I would have understood that, he's not getting any clean sheet returns in terms of returns from clean sheets or defensive returns, but he's getting attacking returns, loads of attacking returns, which is not happening this season. So that's why I am not inclined to spend that extra 2.5 million when, if I can spend 7 million for a Trent, I can spend 9.5. I can't spend that 2.5 million. I can only stretch it up to Trent as of right now.
Yeah.
So he hasn't been justified, though his price rise. Hopefully in the near future he will. And just to add to, before you move on to Bayern Munich, Wirtz has got a slight niggle. I'm seeing online. Yeah, he has. He has. FPL Caesar, our good friend, he has shared news in our group chat that he has suffered a capsule injury on his right ankle in the game against Netherlands. So Leverkusen say it's unclear when he will come back. So there goes another injury issue that added to all the injury issues that we currently have. So
I was literally just going to say that he is the standout attacking option for them because he has 90 minutes, like most games.
Yep.
But I guess he's in the void now. Something I don't buy.
Yeah, make sure you got all the news regarding all the injured players. Make sure you got all the injury-related news first before transferring him or transferring him out or getting him in, because lots can change. All these news can change the whole complexity of your team squad, team value, team build, whatever you're trying to do in the future games. So move to Bayern Munich. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, quite possibly. I'm expecting Boniface to explode at some point, but it just doesn't seem to be happening. So yeah, he's probably in the void at the moment. But Bayern Munich, as you say, interesting team at the moment. another team that you'd sort of avoid defensively just because of the price tag, really. And they are conceding quite a few goals. They've conceded 7 from their 6 games so far. Kane is a fine option. At the moment, I do think Haaland's better. Haaland and Lewandowski are better, as I said before, but got no issues with people going Kane. He has much more assist threat, 4 assists so far in the league. But Elise for me is a standout midfielder. Like, there is rotation there, but Elise seems to be starting every game, and I was encouraged. He's subbed off every game. I was quite encouraged in the last game he played. He did get subbed off, but it was in like the 90th minute. And there's far more rotation on the other wing with like Gnabry and Coman. And Elise's figures are really, really good. So for me, he's the standout. Yeah, feel free to go Kane, but I do think there are others that are better. What are your thoughts on Bayern?
Yeah, I think you pretty much covered it. I think even if Olise gets rotated a bit, he basically goes off after doing his job.
Yeah.
He will get an assist or a goal. I mean, by the time he goes off, he has done his return. So he'll get guaranteed with 10 to 12 points every week with the kind of form he's playing. So hopefully his minutes will get much more nailed as the season progresses. And as you said, Kane was always been an option in whichever club he plays. He will score goals, but in terms of price, whether you want to spend that extra 1 million that Kane has on the other 2 strikers, he hasn't been justified that. In terms of goals, maybe you can say in terms of assists, he has he has much assist return in terms of goal returns.
I think to clarify, it's non-penalty goals, which is the issue. He's got 5 goals and 4 assists in 6 games. Like, that is a very good return. It's 1.5 returns a game. But when you look at his he scored 2 penalties, and his non-penalty XG isn't that good at all. It's 1.59, and he's overperforming when it comes to assists. He is the best of those top guys for assists, and that is probably the biggest feather in his cap. But his goal threat at the moment seems lower than the other 2.
Yep. I mean, his midfield, his attacking partners, Musiala and Olise are doing far better job than him. So he's not requiring to do that sort of a job. Or I may say Olise and Musiala is finishing those chances. They are not there selfishly. They're not unselfishly providing those chances for Kane. They're selfishly putting them in goal. So you can say that whereas Lewandowski and Haaland they are the focal point of their respective clubs, and everything goes through him. Whatever Rafinha does, all those attacking returns Rafinha is getting, majority of it has been scoring. He has done a lot of the dirty work for Lewandowski to score. I mean, he's on the form of his life. So yeah, I think you can say that in terms of, that's why I think those 2 strikers slightly edge ahead than Kane as of right now. But in terms of fixtures, Kane has the best run, I think, especially in the next 5.
Good. It is good. So that is one good reason to go for him, definitely. Let's move on to Liga, to France. I feel like we won't have a lot to say though. Has anything caught your eye? It's a league I feel like every season of Super League, like, I struggle to stay on top of because the options are limited.
Yeah, I mean, options are limited, and a different team comes up. A different international in this 2 international break, 2 different teams that have come up. I thought Monaco is still the team to go for. I think in terms of League One, PSG has rotated quite a hell of players, so it's hard to say who is their best option. Monaco, you can say that I thought Brest was a good pickup, especially at the start of the season with the way they're performing. They were quite a few, but now Lille has piqued my interest as well. And their midfielders have piqued my interest. The defense has slightly piqued my interest with the clean sheets they're keeping. Monaco as well. Monaco's central defensive partner, central defenders are scoring goals. So a lot of, I mean, weirdly enough, from French league defenders has come up on my watch list. I think
Monaco
Thilo Kehrer
particularly,
of
yeah.
Monaco, yeah, Van der Sen of Monaco. I mean,
Mm.
their defense are looking really strong. So
Mm.
if you are short for budget, I think you may look at Monaco defenders.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I feel like I should be across Monaco attack a bit more. I'm not really. I'm trying. Do you know if there's anyone in Monaco's attack that's sort of showing
I mean,
themselves to be
apart
an
from
option?
Ben Seg here, he's a 5 point something million midfielder. He looks like a lively option in terms of, especially in Ligue 1 or in UCL. He has been the once shining light. I think apart from all those usual characters that we have seen, like so Zakaria, Minamino, and who was the striker, Embolo, and the other one.
Balahan.
They are not performing. Yeah, they are not performing to their expected best. But I think Ben Seguir and Monaco defense has been decent enough. So I think if you're looking at from Monaco attacking options, I think Ben Seguir. Apart
Yeah,
from that, I think he's a 5 million guy. He will be flexible in your team.
yeah. Another one of those decent cheap options who has patchy minutes, like seems to be starting every game and getting subbed off every game between 65 and 75 minutes, which is not bad for that price point. But yeah, it seems like they rotate quite a lot between their strikers, if I understand correctly. Embolo starts some, Balogun starts some.
Yeah.
Sort of been my understanding of it. Jonathan David has got 5 goals, so you know he may become an option at some point as well. The players I'm most interested in though are Barcola and Hakimi. I think Barcola's been outstanding.
Yeah.
Um,
I think Lille's Zagrova is also an interesting option apart
yeah,
from Hakimi and Barcola. I mean, he's 7.7, so he's a nice little option if you're stretching, if you're not having that extra 0.5 million. If you're missing those 1 million, Zagrova can be a decent option. 7.6 million, he's scoring. He's getting those attacking returns, and if only Jonathan David's prolific, then I think Lille should have been a much more attacking. Would have gotten a much more attacking return, I think.
yeah. Jonathan David's of his 5 goals, 3 of them came in one game against Le Havre, who I think are one of the worst teams in the league.
Yeah.
So I suppose that does overinflate his performance a little bit so far, but will be solid. Yeah. Anything else on Liga? I think that's about it. Like Brest didn't really go near.
Yeah, that's.
So
Let me check any injury related issue that to the players that we suggested.
Ousmane Dembele's another one that interests me. It's just his minutes. Again, it's his minutes. Like he's done really well. 4 goals, 3 assists, but he's only started 5 out of the 7 games.
Okay, in terms of injury issues, I think Balogun is injured and he will face a lengthy spell.
Okay.
And
Bolo then?
From PSG, I think apart from the Ramos and Kimpembe, and Ramos are close to near a return. I think probably too close towards the winter break. They will probably return after November, close to December. So yeah, as of right now, those 3 are the main injury issues.
Cool.
On that. Thanks.
Right. In that case, should we do questions then? Do you want to get them up?
Yeah. Yeah. Hold on. Get them up.
We've only got a couple, but we shall go through them.
Yeah, I think we got 3 questions: 2 Super League, 1 Championship. Yeah. Okay. I've got them up. Should
Cool.
we do it?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay. So first question comes from Pemberton Gaffr on Twitter. Would you play Park the Bus in game week 9 Super League? I will have 3 Serie A defenders, most likely Cambiaso, Savona, and Ruggieri, with Molina and Vanderson with single game week.
I'd say the answer is probably. Obviously, it's the only boost. Assuming you've played away days and Eurostars. It's the only boost that will give you extra multiplier for double game weeks, because the other two, which give you like extra multipliers, are the Bundesliga one and the Premier League one, neither of whom have a double. So yeah, if you're doing it with 5, Serie A doesn't really seem realistic. It's too much surgery to your team. Doing it with 3 seems reasonable to me. Obviously, the thing is that those tough fixtures. It's either you go for Atalanta with the good fixtures and the bad defence, or you go with the teams with the tough fixtures. Although I can see Inter against Juventus being a tight game. I can see at least one of those halves being goalless, sort of thing. So it's not bad. I think it's fine. I'm just not sure the ceiling's huge. I guess you could really target. There must be some good single game week fixtures out there that you could look at. Although having said that, do Liverpool have Arsenal? Yeah. So if you've got Trent, he's got Arsenal. Hakimi's got Marseille. Not amazing. So it's fine. But I don't think it's a dead cert, and it's one of the reasons why I played Overhaul, was because I thought longer term it might benefit me more. And the big thing you lose as well is obviously your captaincy from your attacking players that you might want instead. So I might be looking at captaining, the Atalanta attackers, for example, and you wouldn't have that. So that's my thoughts. You could also argue that because of the tough fixtures, maybe there's more upside from the Premier League and the Bundesliga player boosts. You may have 3 fewer fixtures in that, but you will be, applying multipliers maybe to attackers that have a higher ceiling. So honestly, I think it's quite hard to pin down a right answer, and it depends a lot on the state of your team at the moment. For example, if your team's a mess, you could overhaul. Definitely overhaul. If your team is not a mess, you could park the bus if it's not going to take too much to get there, and you're not going to have to sacrifice too much elsewhere, and you've got a well set up team. You might find though you might have a number of good Bundesliga or Premier League assets already, and very few Serie A assets, in which case I'd argue maybe you go for one of those boosts instead. Very team dependent, that's what I'd say.
Yeah, I think for me, I wouldn't play Park the Bus, especially with the defense that he has, because we discussed a bit earlier. I think Ruggeri is injured, so there goes one player out of that 5 defenders. You need to bring another Atalanta defense. I don't know who you want to bring. He suggested nobody to bring. So there goes the most decent enough double game week player that you would want to have. Then out of Cambiaso and Savona, although we are saying that these two are decent options, but we don't know about the minutes. So you probably be safer if you own one of Kalulu or Getty, because they are secured in terms of minutes. Cambiaso should be secured in terms of minutes, because now with Bremer gone, he I think will be the most attacking in terms of defensive options from Juventus. So he may be a decent pickup or safe in terms of minutes. But Savona, we don't really know about it, although we are expecting his minutes to increase. But probably one of Gatier, Kalulu should have been in there, so that at least I should feel confident with playing Bagdibas. Vanderson is okay. Same with Atletico Madrid. Molina, we don't know whether he starts or not. Jimenez, if you got Jimenez, it would have been a much more safer option. I think Jimenez has started out of the 7 matches. I think he has started 6 and subbed off, came on in 1. So and 2 he got benched, I think. So he has a much more secure minutes in terms of defensive options. Apart from Lenormand, he was the one that I would have gone for. I don't know Molina's minutes. It's been patch minutes. So I'm not too confident about playing with that set of defenders. You park the bus. In terms of options, if you're looking for, I think Jimenez from Girona is can be an option. Doubling up on Monaco defense can be an option. If you're bent on playing park the bus as your chip, as your chip in game week 9, then I think doubling up on Monaco defense, Gutierrez from Girona, you could look at playing. And for the other two spots, I think in whatever the predicted lineups of the Juventus, follow those predicted lineups and settle on another defender from Juventus. Probably Gatti or Kalulu should be your safest pick in terms of defenders. You will not get any attacking returns, sadly, but you will at least get a clean sheet, at least half clean sheets. I can guarantee you will get from them. So those are the three options you can, especially you need to find a replacement for Ruggeri because he's injured. So I think if you look at doubling Juventus defense, doubling Monaco's defenders and Gutierrez, those 5 options can be decent enough to play park the bus. But as of right now, with the structure of defenders you have, do not play park the bus. I should play a different boost.
Fair enough. Right. Next question.
So,
we've only got one more, haven't we?
Yes. The other one is from Jaden. Jaden underscore WBA, West Brom fan. Best Serie A defenders for game week 9.
I feel like it's going to be hard to come up with a list of 5, isn't it? I mean, the one I'd definitely include is DeMarco, just because if you're playing part of the bus at least.
Yeah,
I don't know if I'll end up having him in my team. If you're playing part of the bus,
that's the only one I have. That's the only one I have. I don't have any suggestion.
Just because of that attacking potential and the whole potential. But
yeah.
And then
I mean, before
Savona maybe
before break.
Savona could be an interesting shout in terms of that Parma game. Like, could he get an attack? He probably won't get an attacking return.
Yeah, but
a bit of a punt.
The only thing with Juventus defenders is that we don't know the minutes of that defender of the defense.
I feel quite confident on Juventus' defenders' minutes, actually.
We don't know who's gonna start. I mean, Gatti and Kalulu should start. They are nailed, and Cambiaso should be. So those 3 should be. But you are saying Savona.
I think he might be nailed. I don't. It's a risk. We haven't seen. I think he started the last 2 since Bremer's been out. So it's one that could be a bit of a risk. But I don't hate the idea of going Savona.
Yeah, I think do not look for Atalanta defense. Do not look for AC Milan defense because Theo is. Yeah.
I'd like to take that back. He only got 70 minutes against Cagliari. And you don't want a player that's getting subbed off before that second half clean sheet. So I'm actually slightly off Savona now. Never mind. I'm changing my mind.
I think so in a nutshell, if you're buying DeMarco, it's fine. You can buy DeMarco. Apart from that, there is no defender as of right now to suggest. Maybe Cambiaso to some extent. And if you're looking for a centre back clean sheet, then maybe Kalulu or Gatti. Apart from that, nothing suggests that you should go for a Serie A defense, especially in the double game week. Go for their attackers.
Yeah.
So those are the questions. Hopefully, Pemberton and Jaden, that solves your question, or we have put a small bit of doubt, I think, on your plans. But the situation is right now is whatever the situation is. We just make sure that you don't get any more 0 points in a park the bus, which I have been a recipient of.
Yeah.
In a double game week, one player hasn't played, one player did not start, and in another match they started. So I lost doubling up. So just to be safe, check all the predicted lineup sites, injury sites before you hit park the bus chip.
Cool. Right, let's move on to our teams then. The order's just a bit different to before. It's just a bit random. But anyway, my team's on the screen. So I'm not sure what I'll do yet because I'm waiting obviously on injury news for like Havertz. That could be an international break injury. it might be a proper injury, who knows. Yamal, waiting for news on him. I'm already reasonably well set up for 9 in that I've got 4 Serie A assets. I think that 5th one, it'll be either Havertz to an Inter striker.
Do you own Rom?
Ram.
Oh
yes.
Rom?
Oh yes, Ram's an issue as well. He's injured, isn't he? He's properly injured.
Yeah.
The other one is maybe DeMarco. I was thinking I could get him for Trent, but maybe I could try and find the money to get him for Raum or something. I don't know. It's an interesting one. I need to have a think really about what to do. But if Raum needs to go, then I might need to find a bit of money to get him up to DeMarco, and I'm not quite sure where that money's coming from because I do not want to sell Rafinha one bit. I guess I could sell Havertz, but I've only just got him in. I wanted him basically for the Southampton and the Bournemouth fixture. But I suppose I could get Vlahovic, or I could maybe get Vlahovic for Havertz and then Raum to... No, I can't do that because that'd be 6 Serie A. Basically, I'm not going to ponder it now because it's not very interesting to hear me thinking out loud. I don't know. And I will decide later on in the week with more injury news.
Yeah, that's the safe answer.
We'll leave it there. Captaincy will probably be on Haaland again, and we'll see what he does this time. And Rafinha vice, because he's the best. Your turn.
Yeah, so I have issues. Rom is gone. Lenormand is gone. 2 of my defenders are gone. Mendes have patch minutes. So I have Balde. He has El Clasico game. I don't really want to start him against Real Madrid.
Yeah.
Basically, I have one defender who I'm confident about starting both the weeks. That's Gutierrez. Apart from my goalkeepers. Then we come to the midfield. Yamal, we have doubt. Words, we have doubts.
You could overhaul.
No.
You could definitely overhaul.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of form, Martinez has lost. I own Del Castillo and Slobozlai. They aren't returning that many points that I would have liked. So ideally, I think overhaul should be my play here, considering game week 9. But I was looking to play. I have my away day boost as well, so it's really all my thinking caps are on all the injury lists, all injury websites, all websites that provide injury news, websites that provide lineup news. All my eyes are on that before I finalize whatever I may do. As of right now, the only confirmation I can give is that I'm captaining Haaland. That's the only confirmation I can give, and Gutierrez starts. But apart from whatever 15 you see in your screen, it may not be that 15 come Friday deadline or Saturday deadline. So
you're in a tough spot there.
I'm pretty much, those injuries has killed my hopes of playing away days to some extent. Let's see what we can do about it.
We shall see. I'll flash up David's team. What issues has he got? I'm assuming that Blint flag is now going to be out of date. Maybe if it was a suspension or something. I don't know what his status is, but his team looks fine actually. I guess he'll need to work on bringing some Serie A in. I mean, he's got 2 non-playing Serie A players in Cabal and Navas, so that's a bit of an issue. But yeah, that's his team. If you're on the audio, sorry, you can't hear it. I'm not going to read it all out though for sake of time. But yeah, it looks solid enough, I think. Right, let's wrap that up there because we've got a championship episode to record in a minute. But thank you for watching and listening, everybody. And sorry, I'm just randomly cycling through slides there. There we go. And yeah, we'll again be back at some point. It might just be next international break, to be honest. Well, we've lost Abhishek's audio, but we're just wrapping up anyway. So yeah, thank you for watching, listening, everyone. And yeah, we will see you soon. So it's goodbye from me, and I'm sure there's a namaste coming from Abhishek if we could hear him. See you soon.